Hey everyone, it's Angela from Cake Angel. So I have a question for you. Are you posting reels on Instagram? It seems like everyone is right now, and I've got a great cheat way that I actually use to make my reels. So I don't actually make them within Instagram. I cheat a little bit and I edit my videos on my computer, put them in the right format for Instagram, and then I upload them via my cell phone. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that. For me, it's a great way to create my content without having to do it on the fly. And it means I can schedule everything as well. Let's dive in and take a look. Okay, so we've got Davinci loaded up, and as you can see, the previous video that we made was our cookie cake video, and we're going to learn now how to turn this into a reel for Instagram. So I'm just going to double click it, and then Davinci will open up the timeline for that video. Perfect. So to do this, we don't need to import any new content for this video. We're going to use everything that's already here. What we do need to do though is actually change the resolution of it, as Reels use 1080 by 1920, which is different to the video that we made originally. So let's go up to File. We're going to scroll down to Project Settings, and this will give us our resolution. So here you can see the timeline is already set to 1920 by 1080, and that's the default settings that I have in Davinci, as most of my videos are actually made this way. But I'm going to overwrite this here to 1080 by 1920, and then you click Save. And when you do this, straight away you'll notice now that our preview has completely changed. So instead of being full screen, everything is now a lot smaller. So there's a couple of things that we're going to do to actually make this look a lot better when it's on Instagram. So to start with, we're going to go down to the bottom of the screen. We're going to go to our color tab. And we have a whole new host of different settings here, and the one that we're mainly interested in is this box here for sizing, as we're going to have to zoom in on all of our videos and possibly move the position of them as well. So I'm going to make sure my first video is highlighted. So let's click on that, and you just make sure whichever one is red is the one that you're working on. And then I'm going to go back to zoom, and you'll see what happens here. When you hover over it, this turns into an arrow icon, and then you can just keep your finger down on your mouse and then scroll back and forth, and you can see that it zooms in, and you can keep going until it fills the whole screen and zoom back out again. And you want to find the right zoom that actually gives you enough content from your video that the viewer can still see what you're doing without losing too much of that. So what I generally tend to do next is just grab this little slider at the top here and then slide through and see. Now we can see that the majority of what we're trying to show in this video is on the left hand side, so we know we can zoom in quite a bit more and we can actually lose this part of the video because it's really not that important for the reel that we're making. So I'm going to go back down to zoom, I'm going to click, and then I'm going to zoom in. So now you can see that a lot of the content that we want to see is actually hidden off to the left side. So we're going to work now to actually change the position of our video. And to do that, we're going to use pan. So if you click on pan, you can see by scrolling side to side, you can move that position from left to right. If you wanted to change the position height-wise too, you would use tilt. And that will actually push everything up or down. I'm going to put this one back to 0 though, because we don't want to affect that just yet. We're going to go a little bit more across to the right so we see more of that. And that looks better. Our plate is fairly central there. So just scroll back and forth on your timeline again and see what that looks like. I think that looks really good. Okay, so next we want to quickly apply those changes to the rest of the videos, and a simple way to do this is actually to make sure you've got the first video that you edited selected, so it should have that red border around it as it shows here, and then you want to hold down the wheel on your mouse and press Ctrl and A, and that highlights everything. And then if you quickly press the mouse wheel again, so that's that central roller that you have on your mouse, it will apply the settings across the other videos. So we're just going to do that. Okay, so we can click off of that. And now you can see if I click through the videos, if you keep your eye on this area here, these numbers should stay the same when you click on the other videos. So we'll just go to this one. You can see that one's changed, which is perfect, and our last one as well. So that's all we need to do in terms of zooming in to make sure it looks better for an Instagram reel. Now we still have two other things that I like to do just to make the video look a little bit more professional. So I'm going to go back to my editing tab. And you'll remember that I always like to add a watermark to my videos, and obviously with this video being changed from the different resolution, we've actually lost where that watermark is on the video now. So now we need to change that. And so to do that, I want to make sure that my watermark is highlighted, so now it has the red border around it. And if we look over in the inspector tab over here, so it's already showing for us, it's just this tab at the top. We're going to change the position so that we can slide that watermark back into place, because currently it's over here somewhere because we changed the resolution of our video. So let's just play around with these until it reappears. You can see it's all the way over here. It's just coming back into position. And there it is. And obviously it's too big for this video now because we changed that resolution and everything is a lot smaller. So we just need to change this to make it a more reasonable size. So I'm just going to click this white dot here in the corner, and then holding my mouse down, I'm just going to drag it down. And that's great. So I can unclick this to see what it looks like without the borders around it. Looks pretty good, but I think it's also still in the wrong position. So now we're going to play around with these, the X and the Y, just to put them in the right place. When I'm working on something that's this small, I find it much easier to actually change the position in the inspector. So let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm just clicking on my mouse and keeping that left button pressed down when I do this. And I'm just moving my mouse slightly to the right. You can see my logo is moving here. And I'm just going to nudge it down a little bit on that Y axis as well. And I think that looks good. My opacity is at 50%, as that's the setting that I had it at on my previous video. And if you wanted it to be a little bit darker, you just slide it to the right. If you want it to be less visible, you slide it to the left. I think we're just going to nudge it up slightly because it's on a dark plate this time. Okay, so that looks much better. Next thing we're going to do now is actually change the border. Now I don't like that my video now has a black border either side of it, and the reason that's there is because we changed our resolution. There's a really easy way to change that. So we're going to add another track to our video, and we can add a background to it. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing we're going to do is go over here to the left hand side toolbox. We're going to click on generator. And this has lots of options, and the one that I always use is solid color. So I'm just going to go across, I'm going to drag that onto my timeline. You see that appears here, and I'm going to move my cursor all the way back so you can see what that looks like. So straight away, because it's at the top of my video, it actually covers everything else, so we want this to be at the bottom instead. So I'm going to right click on the track here and click move down, and then right click again and move down. So now it's at the bottom. So if you think of it as layers, we want our logo to be on top, then our video, and then our background. So now we obviously don't want it to be black either. So there's an easy way we can change this. We go back up to our inspector here on the right, we click on color, and there's a really handy tool here. So you could choose any color that you wanted from this wheel. So for example, if I picked pink, I could pick green, but we're actually going to do something a little different. I like to try and pick a color that will blend into the video. I'm going to click pick screen color, and it will change to this cross cursor. And I think we'll go for something that kind of matches in with the background. And we'll see what that looks like. So I'm going to click OK for now. Obviously we can't see it yet because it's still hidden behind that video. So we're just going to go up to our video, we're going to click on the first one, and then in the position I'm just going to change the X1 to a 1 and press enter, and you'll see what happens. So you can see just by moving it ever so slightly, we can actually see our background now. Now I don't think that is the best color for this, so I think what I'll do is actually go back and I'm going to change it to white. So you click on your background color again, your solid color, go up to generator on the right, click the color, and then select a different color. And click OK. I think that looks much better. So now we need to do the same thing for the rest of the video, but we know we're going to have to speed this up too, because for a reel it's actually too long. Reels can only be up to 30 seconds in length, so we know that we're going to need to change the speed of this to reduce it by half. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with my first video. I'm going to right click, change clip speed. I'm going to click ripple sequence and then change it to 1000. And you'll see how that's moved everything down. We're going to do the same for our second one and also our third one. And let's have a look and see how long that is now. So we're just going to move our cursor. So it's a little bit over, it's 30.1 seconds, which actually is too long for a reel. It wouldn't let us upload that to Instagram. So we're going to have to just change it ever so slightly. And I think what I'll do is I'll actually click my middle video because it's the shortest one. And I'll just change the speed of that a little bit. Let's move it to 1100. And that should be enough. That's perfect. So now you can see it's 29.22. So what we'll need to do now is a few more things. We need to just amend the size of our logo to match, and also the music as well. And to do that, I'm going to do my logo first. So I'm going to click on that to make sure it's red. I'm going to press on my left button on my mouse so that the cursor changes, and then I'll just drag it to snap it into place. Again, with our music track, we're going to do the same thing. We're clicking on it so it turns red. We're going to hold down the left mouse button and then slide it across. So now everything is 29.22 seconds, which is perfect. A couple of other things we need to change though now is our background. So we just need to stretch the background. So I'm going to click that, make sure it's red, and then drag it to the end. And our second and third videos, we just need to move the position of those as we did for the first one so that we will actually get rid of that black bar. So I'm going to just change that to 1, and the same for the third one, and then we should be good to play the video. So let's do that now and see what it looks like. Okay, so that looks good, but I think the audio ends a little bit abruptly, so there's a couple of things we can do to make that sound a little bit better. The first thing we're going to do is actually go back to the start though. As you can see, there's an area here where there's no sound at all, so we're going to zoom in, and you can see this area here, there's no audio here at all. So what we want to do is actually trim that and move the audio so that it starts straight away rather than having a bit of a pause. So I'm going to use my blade tool to cut that. Change my cursor back to the arrow, right click, and then delete. And then we can just press and hold this with our mouse and drag it to the beginning. So let's play this and see what that sounds like. So that's much better. There's no pause at the beginning now. And then at the end, we just need to go over to here. Obviously our video is a fraction shorter, so we just need to click it and drag it to the right so that it will end in the appropriate place. But what I will do is add a little fade at the end so that the music fades out gradually rather than coming to a dead stop at the end of the video. I think it just sounds a little bit more professional when you do that. So on the left hand side, we go up to Toolbox, we go to Audio Transitions, and then we click on Crossfade -3, and you click and hold with the left mouse button and drag it to the timeline, and you'll see that it has this little grayed box here, and once it's in the right place on the timeline, you can let your mouse go. Before I do that though, I just want to show you, make sure when you do this that it doesn't hover over the end. As you can see here, you can see there's a little bit that's hovering past the end of our video. You want to make sure that it ends at the end of the track. So this is the right place. I'm going to let that mouse go. I'm going to move the cursor over to here, and you can hear what that sounds like with the transition. So I think that sounds a lot better. I'm happy with that. So now we're ready to render our video. Again, we're at 29.22 seconds, which meets the requirements for Reels. It's also the right resolution. So let's click the Deliver tab. So the first thing I'm going to do is scroll down and change the format to MP4. And just double check that our resolution is correct here. So it should be 1080 by 1920 for a reel. Everything else looks great. We don't have to change that, but we will change the file name. So I'm going to change this to Cake Angel Cookie Cake Reel so that it doesn't overwrite my previous video. And then I'm going to click Browse and just double check it's in the right place. Now it should be, because it remembers that as it's the last video that we made. And then click Save. And then we just add to render queue, and it pops over into our job number, and we can start render. And this will render really quickly because it's a 30-second video. It takes no time at all to render. Okay, that's great. So our project has rendered, it's ready to go. Now what we need to do is show you how to get this off of your computer and back onto your cell phone so that you can upload it to Instagram. So to do that, I've actually linked my phone back up to my computer just through the USB cable. I'm going to move this over to here, as we need to also open up the folder that has our cookie cake file in it. So this is the one that we just made. This is our cake reel. So now we're going to show you how to copy that file across to your phone. I have an Android phone, so this process may be different for an iPhone, but you should be able to copy it across in a similar manner. So I'm going to just right click on the file that's saved on my computer. I'm going to copy. Then I'm going to go over to the folder that opened up for my phone. And I'm going to find a safe place that I can save it so that I can easily retrieve it for Instagram. So I'm going to go to Card, as I have a memory card on my phone, and I usually put these in my download folder, but obviously put these wherever you prefer on your phone. And then, as you can see, I have lots of files in here already that I upload to social media off of my phone. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to paste. And there we go, it's on my phone now, so that's ready to upload to social media. So now that we've got the file on my phone, I'm going to quickly show you how to upload it to Instagram to make our reel. So let's open Instagram. We are going to click the plus at the top. We're going to select Reels, and then the plus in the bottom left, and then select our file, which is the third one on the right. Now the scale is great, we don't need to change anything. You can see our logo, our video looks nice and clear too, and we've obviously got our audio on there as well. So we're just going to click Add. So now it's going to process that video for us, which is the normal functions that it does for Instagram. And this is a really great way, I find, of cheating almost the system to make reels, because you're not having to record them on the fly. You can actually professionally record them and edit them. You don't have to worry about any background noises or anything. And you can make sure you've got your logo on there as well, which is really important. So let's wait for that to finish processing. Okay, that's great. So now we can click our right arrow. And we don't want to add any text to it, although if you wanted to, you would do that in the normal manner. But I'm just going to go on to finish the process for you. Just click the right arrow. And there we go, we're in our screen where we're ready to write our caption for the video. We can also change our cover as well. So let's do that. We'll click on cover, and then we can just slide back and forth on the bottom. until we find something that we would like for our cover. So let's just choose that one. We're going to click done. And then you can write your caption here if you want to. You can put your hashtags in there as well. I'm actually not going to do that because I'm just going to save it as a draft. So at the bottom, I'm just going to click here, Save Draft. And there we go, that's our reel done. So that's the whole process from having our video on our computer, editing it in Davinci, and then putting it back on our phone and uploading it onto Instagram. Now to check where it is, you just want to scroll over to your profile and then go to your Reel tab. And if I scroll up and look at my drafts, you can see that it's already there. And we can go in and we can change our captions and put our hashtags in before we post it. So this is a great way to get your content loaded up, ready to go, without having to make things on a daily basis. And there we go, that's how to make reels on your computer and upload them through your cell phone without actually having to make them on the fly in the Instagram app. For me, it's been a real game changer, and I find the process is actually a lot more enjoyable, as I'm not going to get stressed out by anything happening in the app when I'm trying to make it. So let me know in the comments below if you're going to try this, and also how your reels are going on Instagram. I would love to hear. Also, if you've got a moment, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as part of our growing community. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks for watching.